Hey, when I consider my calling as a shepherd pastor and also doing the work of evangelism, I need to know what the Lord has called me to do, to be faithful to stay in that lane. I remember an illustration Mike McIntosh shared one time about a man who went into the forest to look for his lost dog. He saw some really cool trees and began to harvest them and then thought, wow, I can make some furniture from this. His family came and found him and said, didn't you come in here to look for your dog? He lost sight of his original purpose. Peter shares the idea of girding up the loins of your mind and be sober, rest your hope fully on the grace that is to be brought to you at the revelation of Jesus Christ. Well, everything has to be in light of that eternal focus. In particular, the role that we have of going, teaching, and baptizing into all the world with the purpose of making disciples. So are there any loose ends and distractions in your mind, in your ministries you need to maybe put away so you can hit the target? We're called as ambassadors. I love Sandy Adams' illustration of the role of an ambassador as one who must be very familiar with his own language and culture, and also be familiar with the language and culture of the nation he serves. So we need to know our own spiritual language, and I think Calvary Chapel has that. We're in the Word. But we need to also know the culture of the language of the people we're trying to reach. Otherwise, we'll be completely irrelevant. Still trying to reach the hippies, are we? Hey, but if you become so relevant to the culture, but slip away from the truth and the heavenly purpose you have, that'll utterly fail as well, along with the 63% of pastors who no longer hold a biblical worldview. We're experiencing a huge cultural shift in the last few decades, and that has ripened into a worldview of how a person feels determines reality. Recently, I heard a comedian say, a person told me I'm anxious, and I asked, what are you doing about it? And he said, nothing, I just wanted you to know so you can work around it. Well, that's where people are today. It used to be normal that people wanted to improve themselves according to the accepted standard. And we're open to that, whatever it took. Now they just want everyone to adjust to how they feel, which is the measure of all things, and to give them a safe place. Most of the church in America has thought it virtuous to make everyone feel loved, but not challenge them to align their lives with truth. But as Jesus bore witness to the truth and set the table for the gospel to be received, so our vision needs to be that as well. And even as Solomon advised, buy the truth and sell it not. Hey, we're tumbling down a steep hill in our nation, and we need to be very focused and wise in our gospel rescue plan for souls. So guys, get out there. Don't shelter in place in this storm. My daughter mentioned when she was growing up as a church kid that it wasn't until new believers raw off the street that responded to a gospel outreach that now they're on fire for God, and they were injected into our comfortable church youth gathering. That's when it really stirred her up. She saw the power of God at work. Most of the loss of vision and compromise in the church is largely the result of trying to please the bored church kids, and they have no biblical vision to take over. They just want to feel good with the culture. We need to get back to our role as ambassadors, looking to get the body out of their comfort zone, risk it all for the gospel, get out there, and may the Lord bless you all, my brothers, as you shepherd God's flock.
God speaks through His Word. When we talk about God spoke to me, it will always be confirmed in His Word. And that was the beginning of not only loving the Lord with all my heart, mind, and soul, but also from there learning what He expected of me.